The world of Formula One is always evolving, and teams like Red Bull, Ferrari, and McLaren are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But with success often comes scrutiny, and today we delve into the latest controversy surrounding McLaren's innovative front wing. With Red Bull and Ferrari raising concerns, what does this mean for the future of F1 aerodynamics? In this video, we'll explore the details of the investigation, the reactions from top teams, and what could be next for the FIA's regulations. Red Bull and Ferrari have requested that the FIA provide an explanation about the degree of flexibility that McLaren's front wing possesses. Nevertheless, the wing has already passed all of the legal testing, and the governing body has no immediate intentions to take any action. They made that statement in the very outset of this investigation, at the very least. Recent events, however, have brought about rapid and significant shifts, and these changes have been for the worse for both Red Bull and Ferrari. Why would they begin a study that could potentially have a negative outcome for them? McLaren has gone from being a team that struggled to score points to one that is now a regular challenger for the win in just 18 months. If Red Bull's issues continue to worsen, they might end up being an unexpected opponent in both of the championships in 2024. Although Red Bull claims that it is technically confused, McLaren has not made a single mistake in its development since it began to come closer to the front of the pack as of the previous year. Beginning with an improvement in the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in late April, which laid the groundwork for a significant stride forward in Austria at the beginning of July, it all began with an improvement. Ever since that time, McLaren has experienced a rate of expansion that has never been seen before. During the current season, it appears that it has sacrificed some of its high-speed domination in order to increase its performance in the slower bends, which has enabled it to become a threat on every circuit. As a result of its victory in 9 of the last 10 races, it has reduced its advantage to 8 points, thereby defeating Red Bull by 8 points. Now that film footage has demonstrated how much it is. Other teams are looking at the McLaren front wing with a greater degree of examination, bending when pressure is applied to it on the straights, but returning to its usual position when the brakes are applied causes it to return to its original position. The performance of the Mercedes front wing has also been observed to be satisfactory. Due to the fact that aerodynamic components cannot be rendered totally rigid, it is of utmost significance for the automobile to make the most of the flexibility that must be permitted in these components. Under stress, the shape of every single wing undergoes a slight transformation. The challenge lies in ensuring that the control is implemented in a manner that is not just secure but also consistent and predictable, provided that the load testing are successful. It is believed that Red Bull is on the same side as Ferrari with regard to this issue, despite the fact that Christian Horner, the principal of the Red Bull team, did not expressly state that he desired additional information. Given that Red Bull was defeated by McLaren at Zandvoort, she did mention that the front wings are being utilized in a completely different manner than they were before. Take note of the angle at which the front wings of the McLaren and Mercedes can be found. They are completely distinct from the other automobiles in every way. In addition, Horner discussed a modification that would be implemented to the load testing while the season was in progress in the beginning of 2021, when flexing bodywork was an issue. While speaking, Horner stated the rules are very clear that's an FIA issue, so obviously there's a test you pass, and then you have to look at the wording of the regulations. There was a modification made to the laws governing the front wing in the year 2021, which was around the period of Baku City. Although this is the case, our wing was successful in passing the test because it utilized a flexibility. When it comes to the FIA, this is a problem. We are going to let them solve it. The Formula One organization FIA is doing research to determine the degree of flexibility for front wings. The regulations for the following year might be improved based on what they discover. Beginning with the Belgian Grand Prix, which took place before the summer break, the FIA began to pay closer attention to the way in which the front wing distorted while it was being used on the course. In order to accomplish this, they installed additional cameras on the nose that aimed in a sideways direction. This was done because the standard forward-facing cameras that are used for broadcasting do not capture the entire front wing. In July, when this information was made public, according to the Federation of International Automobile Associations FIA, the data will be utilized to learn more about how flexible chassis is for future standards, and nothing will be changed for this season. At the time, it was also stated that all of the front wings that had been tried up until that point had passed the testing that were being conducted at the time and were legal. When asked about the news that Red Bull and Ferrari were concerned, the company issued a statement on Tuesday in which it reiterated the same assertion. Instantaneously, this brought a stop to the probe. FIA has issued a statement indicating that all front wings have been brought into compliance with the requirements for the year 2024. For the purpose of analyzing the dynamic movement of the cars, the FIA has been gathering additional data throughout the FP1 and FP2 sessions ever since the Belgian Grand Prix. In order to accomplish this, a video camera that is mandated by the FIA is utilized. This camera records areas of the front wing that are not visible to the official FOM cameras. The duration of this exercise is going to be at least. Have been utilizing the FIA camera that is required on tracks with low, medium, high, and extremely high downforce. This will ensure that there is a large library that the FIA can use to create the most accurate image possible of what is taking place and to determine the degree to which the various dynamic patterns that are observed on the circuit are indeed distinct from one another. More tests may be added by the FIA in the event that it is believed that problems are occurring. In the short term, there are no plans in place for any steps. On the other hand, we are taking a look at things using the medium and long term as our criteria. Keeping things under control is something that the FIA strives to do all the time, which is why they are currently in this predicament. In practice, managing the flexibility of aerodynamic elements can only imply ensuring that it remains within limitations that are considered acceptable. However, the most essential thing that they want is for the teams to stop accusing each other of engaging in unauthorized activities. When it comes to aeroelasticity, the technical department of the FIA has finally reached a point where they understand where the line is. Teams ought to be informed of this. But the current state of affairs seems to indicate otherwise. Concerns expressed by Ferrari and Red Bull on the actions taken by McLaren and Mercedes indicate that either the situation exceeds what they consider to be acceptable, which may be based on previous experiences, or that they are unable to repeat the situation. Whatever the case may be, they are attempting to persuade the government to take some action. This season, however, a competitor has the ability to simply register a protest if they believe there is an excessive amount of flexing going on and no one steps in to stop it. Although the FIA is responsible for selecting the judges, they are in no way affiliated with the organization. There were instances in which they were in complete and utter disagreement with the FIA. Stewards may make a decision based on the degree of flexibility that a part possesses, the manner in which the rules are written, and the information that has been documented in the past. It would be challenging to accomplish. However, if a group believes that another group has gone too far, then that is the point at which it can be put to the test. It is possible for any member of any team to refuse, and they can also provide an explanation as to why their design for a component is acceptable, depending on how they comprehend the rules and how they are applied. At Monza, Andrea Stella, who is in charge of McLaren, was not questioned about this matter. However, he has already discussed it. To our delight, the FIA is paying attention. The end of June was when he made his statement regarding how to police movable bodywork. When it comes to the decisions that the FIA makes on degrees of flexibility, we do not have a lot of cause for concern. It appears that the rules that govern changing bodywork in Formula One are relatively straightforward. Article 3. According to Rule 2.2 of the technical requirements, any and all aerodynamic components or bodywork that have an impact on the aerodynamic performance of the vehicle must be securely fastened and unable to move without restriction. Aside from that, these components must always provide a surface that is smooth, solid, hard, continuous, and impermeable, with a few exceptions. This rule is supplemented by a variety of technical directives such as TD018 from the previously mentioned year. Changes in the flexibility of a part or any relative movement of parts that are connected were restricted by TD018. On the other hand, Tim Goss, who was in charge of single-seater racing for the FIA at the time, stated, "We want to make sure that both the FIA and the teams know where the queue is. A lot of incidents similar to this one have occurred over the course of the years." This indicates that there is a long history of what is and is not permitted, which makes it difficult to reach a consensus on what is appropriate. The fact that the laws are not entirely clear and that the FIA is not transparent about the manner in which they share technical directions is one of the reasons for this. In addition to this, the reason is that the restrictions are not functioning properly. The concept of rigidity is acceptable nevertheless. It must be used in the real world, and bodywork components that are considered to be completely rigid are not effective in that context. Are out of the question. There needs to be some give in order to prevent the components from breaking under the strain that they are subjected to when traveling at high speeds on the track and when they are coupled to a vehicle that is constantly bumping into curbs and other obstacles. If there isn't, the components will break, and it could happen in ways that are quite hazardous. The purpose of laws is to protect individuals from harm, therefore it would be risky to have pieces that are physically difficult to move about. Due to this, there is a difficulty that cannot be resolved by modifying the rules. A certain level of basic bias is produced as a result of this. It is for this reason that the exact degree of flexibility that is permitted is determined by the testing and police inspections that automobiles are required to go through. As soon as those are finished, you are free to leave. Because of this, one of the objectives of the game is to create components that are not only able to withstand stress testing but also possess aeroelastic properties that enable them to function effectively. McLaren and Mercedes have reportedly been able to accomplish this, according to the FIA. The fact of the matter is that Ferrari and Red Bull ought to first bring their technology up to speed before accusing other teams of breaking the law. Unquestionably. It is the FIA that makes this statement, and they are the ones who do the tests. As long as they are able to pass the load tests conducted by the FIA, engineers at McLaren and Mercedes have frequently attempted to include aeroelasticity into their aerodynamics within the rules. This is due to the fact that aeroelasticity may be utilized to reduce inertia in a straight line. It is now quite evident that they were able to incorporate a little bit of flexibility into the front wheel well. The existing guidelines have benefited from this since it has the potential to assist in resolving the balance issues that have been brought about by the installation of ground effect flooring, and according to the FIA, it is beneficial for them if everything occurs in accordance with the rules. Do you have any thoughts? When it comes to the upcoming races, will Red Bull and Ferrari discuss this topic once more? Will they ultimately come to terms with the fact that they are not as innovative as they could be? Please share your thoughts by filling out the form below. As the battle for supremacy intensifies, one thing is certain: the competition in Formula One is fiercer than ever. With McLaren's rapid rise and Red Bull and Ferrari calling for closer inspection, the future of aerodynamic innovations could change the sport. But will it be enough to alter the course of the championships in 2024? Stay tuned for more updates. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for all the latest F1 news and insights. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think will come out on top?